Hello, Bruno here. We want to talk about my experience with this lens here. The TTARtsan 500mm is a fixed lens, and in my opinion, how it works on the field, and is an excellent lens with a high quality. I check another video, the open areas, and here in the South Amazon, the place I'm there now. There's a flooded forest behind me and the highland forest, very darkness canopy, and for me is one of the most difficult place to take pictures in the world, in the wildlife, in the nature photography. That's a very hard place, a hardcore place to take pictures. And his lens here works very well even here. And in my experience, I use most of the part the aperture at 6.3, and sometimes with the sunlight maybe 8, but almost never 11, the aperture, because it's too darkness here, and we need light, right? Photography is light. And in my experience here, and I always use 6.3, and sometimes when I want to focus an animal, especially on a canopy, 8. And I use ISO between 800 to 4000. And I use a 19D, a Canon 19D. Is an excellent camera to have with this lens, but it works with any other cameras, including mirrorless and the DSLR. And if you are focused or a subject on the canopy, it's important you calculate the distance, and the ring here is hard, and they need to be hard because they need to focus very specific. If you are soft, you can lose your target. So it's important you calculate the distance you want to photograph. For example, if you think the monkey is 30 meters high, you put 30 meters here, you put 30 meters here, you want to stay more easy to focus. And then it's just to follow your target. Could be a bird too, and always works. I can show to you the pictures I already made here, even in a darkness place. Of course, you need to stabilize the lens and the camera to take a shots. That lens here don't have a stabilizer motor because everything here is analogic, and but works well. In the past, if you go back in the past, don't exist such technology, and have a great pictures. The best photographers, wildlife photographers in the world, use analogical cameras. So you can do it. As don't give up. Just be prepared. It's important with this lens. We talk about shutter speed. Could be this lens for another automatic lens. Doesn't matter. Works well with this one here. All the pictures I'm showing here is took by this one here. The TTARtsan fixed lens, but here in a minimum of high speed with 100 or 880, less than this is almost impossible. Everything shake. Any minimum to took less than 100 shutter speed, you need to a tripod. And many times here on the rainforest, only if you have a cabin to photograph the animals, and then okay, it works well. And we have a cabin and a tripod, and then works very even more well. But the most part, if you have seen action, so you don't want to have a tripod, you need to stabilize in your hand and put a little bit more ISO. But usually ISO between 1000 and 2500 works well, and you can take a very nice pictures with this lens here. I strongly recommend this lens, and any other weather. I think weather and biome here, like I told you before, for me is one of the most difficult place to photograph wildlife and the nature in the world. The light is a challenge every time. So if you try to understand about ISO, shutter speed, aperture, and you practice with this lens, I have sure you want to take amazing pictures, professional pictures, very good. The problem is when you are on the 6.3 aperture, the distance of your target to stay in focus is very, very, very short. But of course, if you use aperture 11 or 12, you have more chance to catch your target in focus with aperture 11 or 16 or 20 anyway. But on the rainforest, in the darkest place, even in the early morning or in the dusk, and even in between the middle of the day, is continuous darkness. So it's more difficult. You find the focus in the 6.3 and 8. 8 is a little bit more easy. So most of the part when I pass off the 10 a.m., I try to use the aperture 8. But if it doesn't work, I put in a 6.3 and shutter speed between 500 and 1000, and sometimes works with the ISO between, depends of the condition of the light, ISO between 800 to 2500, sometimes a little bit more. Have some capuchin monkeys over there. Let's try. And 8 is very darkness condition too. So I put the ISO 2000 and velocity 250. And he is around to 20 meters far away. Okay, easily in focus for right now. So I almost don't lose picture with this lens. After a while, used to use. Even can make a tiny movie. Why not? Don't have tripod here, but I can stabilize later. Okay. So that's the image I took right now. Don't have tripod here, but everything in focus. Okay, let me check the pictures. Yep. Yep. There it is. Easy peasy. We just need to practice, and you want to have an excellent image of 500mm TTARtsan. So I'm here on my Adobe Lightroom, and I have a file of the pictures I selected to show it to you. The TTARtsan 500mm. This file have the darkness place, and we want to check some pictures I selected here the last 4 months or 6 months, something like that. So that's the type of Amazonian woodpecker, and it's 30 meters far away, and for me the quality is pretty good. And I photographed this woodpecker with at 6.3 aperture, and very visible. And I use ISO 2000 and 60 velocity 60. I use a tripod here, but even so, it's a very darkness place. Is excellent image, just excellent. That's a peccary pigs, white-lipped peccary pigs inside the forest. That one don't have a tripod, so it's a little bit blurry, but it's enough for me. It's a good scene. I use here ISO 1600 and my velocity 250, and 340 on the Amazon rainforest is pretty darkness. And here again I use 6.3 and at least 15 meters far away. They're a little bit closer. I have another video here on the channel telling you about how I approach of these wild animals. And that's another very nice picture with type of ant bird. There's a tiny ant bird, and that one here is unleashed to 20 meters far away. It's a very tiny bird, and the quality is just incredible. And here I took ISO 5100. I use a tripod here too, and it's a very darkness place. 5 p.m. on the Amazon is pretty dark. And that's another one as a mannequin, and again 20 meters far away. It's a very tiny bird, and the quality here is again is an accent for me. And here a little bit more earlier, and I took a ISO 1600 and my velocity under 250. So, and I love that picture here. That's another type of specific birds from the South Amazon, endemic of that area. This type of ant bird taking showers in type of water pools, tiny water pools inside the forest. And here I can freeze the movement of the water, and I use ISO 4000 and 100 just to the velocity, and again tripod, and for me is very good, and very darkness place, and again a 6.3 aperture, and at least 20-25 meters far away. And that's the next image, is the same species. Look the quality of this image, same aperture, and look the details of the bird and the drops. The water is a little bit blurry when you get more closer, but it's very good quality. And it is a very far away bird, it's a forest bird, and almost darkness place. So here I use ISO 3250 and my velocity, and 5 p.m. on the Amazon is almost complete darkness. That one here is not so sharp. I took without a tripod, but I like it. There's a mother with the 2 cubs, and white lips peccary, but very darkness place. On this day here have a cloudy sky, so inside the forest complete darkness. And then I need to took 8000 the ISO, and without a tripod stay a little bit more difficult to photograph, but with any camera without a tripod on that conditions is almost the same. And that's a woodpecker, another Amazonian woodpecker. I took this picture 20 meters, maybe 30 meters far away, and as a good light here on that occasion, almost 2 p.m. on the Amazon, so I can use a little bit more lower ISO and low velocity. But if you do some techniques to photograph it without a tripod, you can take a very nice image. And have another video here on the channel speaking about to use techniques, using techniques to take shots in wide places, especially in dense forests. And it's not every time you can walk with a very heavy tripod. And here is another one. I like this picture because I have a bokeh, a very nice bokeh. And that's a 2 black-fronted nunbird, a couple. And here it's 2 p.m. It's a very good light on the Amazon, and you can use a lower ISO. It's perfect, just perfect for me. The focus are here, and like I told you before, in some places here in this video, to took a shot in the 6.3. All these pictures shot in the 6.3 so far, is a little bit more difficult. That's the reason the ring of the focus need to have a little bit difficult to, not difficult, but detailed, need to be precisely. And that's another picture I love, is the white whisker spider monkey. That spider monkey is unleashed 30 meters far away. You can see all the details here on the mouth, and a very nice bokeh behind. A perfect lens, perfect, just perfect. Here is very early morning, and on the Amazon, very darkness place, and I use ISO 2000. I remember to use a tree to stabilize my camera and the lens, because it's complete analogic, don't have a stabilizer. And that's another one. I compete with this picture in one of the contests, international contests, a wildlife photographer of the year, and That's a male and a baby. They are playing here together, and that picture is very far away, maybe 40 meters far away or more. And I use ISO 2000 and 200 velocity, because almost everything is very dark inside the forest. And one of the sequence here a little bit more closer, maybe 30 meters. And here we have a couple of green ibis in a darkness place. I like this couple too. It's not exactly so good, but it's enough for me. That one is more clear. The white whiskered spider monkey, more than 30 meters far away. Again, they live in the trees 30 meters higher, and it's very difficult. They stay more lower, so always in the high on the trees. And you can see here, very, very nice in focus. On that picture here, I use aperture 8. Aperture doesn't show here in the Lightroom because it's analogic, so they cannot read what the aperture you made it. So that's the reason don't have here on the Lightroom. But the camera took the information of the ISO. I took here 4000 ISO and 250 velocity. And in the morning, here is very nice light conditions here after 8 a.m. on the Amazon. That's another one, another example, more than 50 meters far away. That's another one a little bit more closer, maybe 30 meters, 20 meters. A deer, red broker deer, that one 30 meters far away too, maybe a little bit less. And here is a very nice light occasion inside the forest, so I can took in a little bit more lower ISO, 800. I think it's the minimum to use inside the forest, and with a nice quality. And 640 my velocity here, my shutter speed. That's I make a mistake on the focus. I focus here, and that happens when you use a 6.3. But when you find the right focus, is perfect. And here is a cuckoo, a very rare species of cuckoo on the Amazon, a scale cuckoo. And we can see all the velocity they jumping and catching the bug here. That's a picture took by 15 meters far away. It's a very, very good image. And I love that picture here. Is a white whiskered spider monkey, a little bit more lower on the ground, not on the ground, but maybe 20 meters on the trees, and a very, very nice shot. And another sequence, very clear for me. Unfortunately, have a light behind, but even so, I think is good enough for me. So inside the Amazon, I usually use a minimum of 800 millimeters and sometimes 4000. But don't worry about the ISO. If you need to put more to not lose the image. You can adjust later. And that's it. That's one of the few images I took inside the forest, inside the Amazon forest, one of the most difficult places to take pictures for me in the world. And the rainforest across the world usually is difficult because they have a very poor light, and without a flash or without another lights to not scare the animals is a big challenge. But it's possible for everyone. We just need to train and know your equipment, and the TTARtsan make an excellent job.